Today in our 2018 Ford Transit T250, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Universal Installation Kit for trailer brake controllers, part number ETBC7. It allows you to hook your brake controller up to a vehicle that does not already have a 7-pole plug or factory tow package on it. This gives you that option to put that tow package in there and hook up your brake controller. Our kit is also going to give us a 7-pole plug, which allows us to use trailer brakes or a brake controller with on a trailer with trailer brakes. It's also going to give us our 4-pole in case we're towing a trailer with just a normal 4-pole plug. Our 7-pole plug is going to have a spring-loaded lid. It's going to have foam on the inside. It's going to seal around this edge to keep any dirt and debris from getting inside. Our 4-pole is going to have a dust cap. It's going to keep dirt and debris from getting in our connections there. To start our installation, we're going to take our 7 and 4-pole plug. We're going to mount it to the bracket that it comes with using the included screws and nuts. Then we're going to use a no drill mounting bracket, long bracket, which it doesn't come with your kit, but you can find it here at etrailer.com using part number 57202. You're going to mount that bracket to the long bracket, which is going to mount to your hitch. It looks like we're going to have to turn this and mount it on the bottom. All I did was took my long bracket and flipped it over so that we can mount it on the bottom of the hitch instead of the top, because our hitch sits so high. And we're going to take our clamp, make sure we're not pinching any wires in there. Get it to the location where we want it, and we'll tighten our clamp down. Then we'll just trim off our excess. We'll take our 4-pole plug. I'm going to go ahead and cut off my cover. Now, this is from my existing wiring already on the vehicle. You got 2 ways to do this. You can actually splice these wires into those wires, or you can just connect your 2 plugs together. So you're going to connect your 2 plugs, take some dielectric grease, squirt it in the holes, help keep the moisture off of the connections, help keep them from corroding. Put them together like that. We're going to take a zip tie, around them like this. Cut off our excess, and when we're done, we'll have that all covered with some tape to help keep moisture from getting on the plugs yourselves. Now you're going to take a wire like this. We're going to strip back the coating that's on the outer sheathing. It's going to have 2 wires in it, a black and a white wire. You don't need to peel back a whole lot, just enough to give you room to work. On the back of our plug, we're going to have white wire, which is going to be our ground, blue wire, which is going to be for our brakes on our trailer, black wire, which is going to give the power to our plug. Then we're going to have a purple wire, which is used for a reverse wire, which we're not going to be using. So all I did was zip tied it right up against my plug. Black to black, and blue to white. I'm going to take some electrical tape. I'm going to go ahead and tape these individually first. And I'll come up here, I'm going to tape all this together. My gray wire, I just ran it right through my frame rail and come out this end. Helps keep it away from my spare tire. My white wire, which is my ground, run it over top the hitch, like this, and run it over top your frame rail here. And then I'm going to ground it right there. Take our self-tapping screw that comes in our kit. I'm going to make sure it's grounded on metal, not on plastic. From the end of my frame rail here, I just followed my existing wiring, because it runs all the way up to the front of the vehicle. Zip tied it along the way. Follow it all the way up to the front. And we're going to go right up to our driver's side engine compartment. Once you get your wire pulled up, we need to find a place to mount 2 circuit breakers. We're going to be using the 40 amp and the 30 amp. The only place we got here, normally you can mount them on the firewall. Plastic, you mount them on there too if you want. This I cannot go through because it's hollow right here and it's pretty thin. So You have two 8mm screws that are holding this jug in place. If you take it and loosen them and just spin this to the side, kind of back like this, it should give you enough room to put them both right here. We'll take the smaller of the self-tapping screws. You'll need 4 of them. I'm going to go ahead and start one first. Then pull it out. And we're going to put our 40 amp in first. Add our second one on the bottom of that. There. Then we're going to do that same thing with our 30 amp. We'll mount it right there, right next to it. We're going to split this coating off the wires. For a black wire, we're going to need a large ring terminal and 2 small ring terminals. What we're going to do is, this is our power wire going back to our plug. We need to connect that to the silver post on our 40 amp circuit breaker, which is the first one that we put in. So we're going to cut it, save your black wire, strip it back. We're going to add a small ring terminal. And again, we're going to connect it to the silver post on our circuit breaker. There. We're going to take our extra black wire. We're going to strip back one end. We're going to add on our second small ring terminal. Connect it to the copper post. Give myself enough here. I am going to eventually zip tie it right to this hard line, but we're going to be running a second one here from our other circuit breaker. So I'm just trying to get an idea of what length I need. Go ahead and cut it down. Add your large ring terminal, and that will get connected to the positive side of the battery for our other circuit breaker. We're going to do the same thing. Go ahead and add a small ring terminal. We're going to connect it to the copper side of the 30 amp circuit breaker. Take these 2 wires, they're on zip tie. And we're going to add on our second large ring terminal, which will get connected to the positive side of the battery with our other one, which we'll do in a later step. We're going to take some extra wire. You may need extra wire. If you do, you can find some here at etrailer.com. I just happen to have some laying around here at the shop. I'm going to use the same color. We'll put the next small ring terminal on, crimp that on. This is going to go on to the other terminal on our 30 amp circuit breaker. This wire, along with my white wire, is going to be routed inside the vehicle through this grommet. Black wire is going to go to the black wire on my brake controller wire. Along with my white wire, it's going to connect onto the brake controller wire also. I determined that we don't have a fuse we can tap into, so I'm going to have to tap into the cold side of the brake light switch. What I did is I found a white wire for my ground, because I'm going to ground it right here on the outside here. I'm going to run it with my black wire and then my large white wire coming from my plug in the back. I'm going to run it into the inside of the vehicle. How I'm doing that is I'm using airline tube. Cut a hole in your grommet inside and out, run your airline tube in, and I taped it to the end. If you don't have airline tube, you can use a piece of wire, something stiff. A long drill bit even works. I've used that before to poke through there, and you can attach everything to it and pull it through. Go ahead and ground my white wire. I'm going to ground it right here to this body ground. It says in the instructions to go to the battery, but it doesn't have to go to the battery. It can go to body ground. You just want to make sure it's a good ground. There, 8mm socket. Just add on our light wire and reinstall our bolt. Go ahead and reinstall your bottle or your jug. And then doing our connections out here to the positive side of the battery, we are going to do this last. Now we're going to go inside the vehicle and make all of our connections to our brake light switch wire and to our replacement plug for our brake controller. Now our customer did not get a brake controller because he probably already has one for another vehicle. So we're just adding in the wiring harness to our ETBC7 for the brake controller. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure where he wants to mount it. So I'm going to, instead of cutting my wires down short, I'm going to bundle them up. Go ahead and zip tie them. That way he's got plenty to work with. Let's strip back all my wires here. Add a butt connector on the end of each one. Our blue wire is going to go to our large white wire. The large white wire goes to our blue wire on our 7-pole plug. The black wire is going to go to the black wire. The white wire is going to our ground that we grounded outside. And our red wire is going to go, this is our brake light switch. We're going to connect it to the purple and white wire. How we determined that is we took a test light with it plugged in, poked it right into the back side. You only want the light to come on or your indicator light on your tester to go on when the brake pedal is pressed. So our red wire, and I did extend it just to give them some extra room here. We're going to attach it to our purple and white wire in there with the connector that looks like this. It comes in your kit. Red wire is going to go in like this. And you're going to put your purple and white wire in there, and you're going to crimp this down. There's a panel that goes on right here, so I'm going to have to take the red wire and kind of go up in between there. Like this. I'm going to go ahead and put this onto my purple wire, add in my red wire. And we'll take a pair of pliers and crimp it down. Fold over a cap. Take the rest of this, get it zip tied right up here under the dash. Reinstall our panel. 15mm socket. Add on our 2 power wires. And then reinstall the nut. And we'll go ahead and hook up our brake controller. You can see we've got power, NC, no connection. Now let's go ahead and hook up to our 7-pole plug on the back and make sure we're getting power back there. And you can see it's working. That'll do it for a look at an installation on universal installation kit for trailer brake controllers on our 2018 Ford Transit T250.